Hello, Schoharie County. This is HB Stedham, your Times Journal executive editor, and I'm here today with the publisher of the Times Journal, Warren Dews Jr. Say hi to everybody, Warren.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? So we're going to change a little things. Normally, HB is here interviewing other people on Get with the Times. Today, I'm here to, interview you or just have a conversation about some things going on. So HB, you've been with us now for what, almost a year or a year?
No, it's been actually a year now, a year and a month actually. So we finished our first complete year July 8th, and super excited about it.
Awesome. And you haven't killed me. I haven't killed you. So that's a victory.
It's a miracle, actually. I think we should report it to the Pope and see if we can
We,
get it declared a miracle.
we should. But listen, in this business, I've been doing this thing for over 30 years, and I love this game that we play called media, called, letting people know what's going on, being the town crier. And, over the years, I believe, we've done a pretty good job. But of course, sometimes we make people happy. Sometimes people are mad. Sometimes people don't agree with us. But the bottom line, I believe what we're doing is bringing the community together as much as we possibly can by giving them information. With that said, you've done an amazing job. You've added, so much different new stuff to our company, and I want to give you a hand clap for that. But with change, you're going to get people that, like I said, either like it or hate it. And so let's talk about a couple of things that we made the decision to take out, and now we make a decision to put some things back in. So let's talk about the police blotter. Let's talk about that. You when you first came, you had said something about why you wanted to take that out.
So actually, I think there's some important context that goes along with this, Warren. We had a gap between when our former editor Patsy left and I started, and the team at Capital Region Independent Media swooped in to be able to ensure continuation of coverage for a few months. And Capital Region Independent Media sounds so fancy, but it's just two guys who are awesome, who are really passionate about local journalism, who have bought just less than a handful at this time of rural papers to continue getting information out there like you talked about. So during that time between when Patsy left and I took over, there was not a police blotter. So when I took over, I didn't even realize there had been a police blotter in the past because I had just been kind of continuing what we had been doing for several months. And one day somebody said, "Hey, are you going to do the police blotter?" And I'm like, why? Like, I don't. What do you mean police blotter? Like, I had no idea. And so I thought about it a little bit. And at the time, my thinking was, that I hate to publish things like what could very well be the worst day of a person's life, like the worst decision that they could make. There was an exception to that policy that I think a lot of times that people forget, which is we always said public safety and public officials. So if there were issues of public safety or issues with public officials, because historically they've been held to a higher standard than your average citizen, that we would publish those. So over the course of this past year, we have published when there have been juvenile sex offenders, for example. We felt like that was a public safety issue. And we've also had one public official in the last year has been arrested. And so we ran that as well. However, talking to the team, and a lot of this was feedback from the public as well.
Yes.
People wanted the police blotter. People wanted to know what's going on. And I have an excellent team behind me. I've got Snow Stedham, who is a very young multimedia journalist who has actually studied religious studies, so has a very decent background in like moral and ethical and spiritual thinking. I've got Nola Storms, who is a journalism major and journalism graduate, and so she's got a really good handle on like hard journalism and things like that. And then, of course, we have Pete Lindeman, our senior staff writer. Folks, if you don't know Pete, dude, take the time. Pete is the man, the myth, the legend. You talk about a solid guy, moral, ethical, thoughtful. He's a straight arrow, and he's our moral compass here at the office. And so we met as a team to discuss whether or not we wanted to bring the police blotter back. And there were a lot of good arguments on both sides. I'm not going to lie. And after much thought, and if you'd like me to go into more detail, I can. After much thought, we've decided we will bring back the police blotter.
Tell the details of what we're going to do, because you and I were going back and forth on, are we using people's names? Are we doing their ages? Those types of things. So let's talk about that.
Sure. We're going to be going directly from the police reports and from the state. So it's state police. We got Schoharie County Sheriff. We've got Schoharie Village Police and Cobleskill Village Police. Those are the law enforcement bodies out here in Schoharie County. And so we're going to run, who's been arrested. We'll run their name and their ages. We have decided that we're not going to run mug shots unless, similar to our old policy, public safety, public officials. So at one point in the past, for example, and this wasn't under my leadership, but at one point in the past, someone had been arrested for buying liquor underage. That doesn't really fall into public safety or public officials, so we wouldn't publish that mugshot, for example. But we will stick with the public safety and public officials for mugshots if they're available, and if they're not available, then obviously we can't run them.
And with that said, like I said, we've been owning papers for a minute. I remember, I don't know what was going on, but it was like 1 or 2 months at one of our other papers. I was getting these calls all the time for people that were in our police blotter, and they were found not guilty, and they sent us a legal letter from their lawyer that said they were not guilty, and we took it out. We took it out of our website. We ran a release about, we ran something about it, that them being, a story about them being found not guilty. So we'll do those things
Absolutely.
After the fact, but it needs to be a legal document that said that you are not found guilty, things of that nature.
Correct. And then also what I want to make sure that I reiterate, because it's something that it's very important to me. And really, I think most people know this, but I think it's always better to over communicate. Just because someone is arrested does not make them guilty. And we will also make sure that we run a disclaimer in our police blotter that people are innocent until proven guilty. And this is just a record of what's going on with our law enforcement officials and our citizens.
So I'm gonna push back on you. So
Do
one
it.
of the things that like I said, I tell people all the time, yes, I'm the publisher and the vice president of the company, but I allow our editors, you run that paper, I allow you to have some free reign, and until, and if I don't really agree with something, I'll let you know. One of the things that I was thinking about, though, is instead of giving, the exact name of the person, it usually says the town, we would just say, 35-year-old from Cobleskill was drinking and driving. What are your thoughts about that?
I have a few thoughts about that. And
Well, that's why I asked you.
I know, and it's not that I haven't considered it, obviously, because we have kind of talked about this before. One thing is that typically what we would say would be like a 35-year-old man was caught, drinking and driving in Cobleskill. The problem with that is you can't always know someone's gender. I mean, think about the names like Chris Smith. Is that a boy or a girl? Pat Cooper. Is that a boy or a girl, or man or a woman, or male or a female? Whatever you want to say there. So it becomes difficult to always know, because the arrest reports I have seen often do not report that kind of information. And so being able to just give the name and just give however it is kind of simplifies that process. Yeah, and talk about pivoting. I mean, the fact is that we are working to healthily give the public things that they are interested in. I am a member of this community. I live in Schoharie County. I live in Cobleskill. And, I see people at the grocery store who talk to me about different things that they want or that they've heard. I see people, at the gas station that tell me things that they want, and I try to listen to them. So it's no secret that Schoharie County currently has an aging population. Like our older folks outnumber our younger folks quite significantly. And I had so many people, this is an example of responsiveness, so many people telling me that they couldn't read the print. The print was too small and they couldn't read it. So we went up an entire font size, which is almost unheard of in print news these days. And we even tried out just like a half a size bigger. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't see a difference. And if I don't see a difference, I don't think my readers will. So we went up for a full font size to be able to accommodate some of our older readers. And this is just another example of, now, I'm not going to do everything everybody asks. The fact is, I have 24 print pages and that's it. So I can't put everything in there that people might want. But what I can do is I can listen and see what I can accommodate and what makes sense. I can talk to my team, ask their thoughts. We literally had 2 meetings about the police blotter just to figure out where did we stand, what did we think was appropriate. And after much debate, that's what we decided, is that we would indeed bring it back.
Awesome, awesome. Let's switch gears and talk about letters to the editor. Let's talk about that and what's been going on with that and what we're going to do moving forward.
I got to tell you, Warren, I am. You ever heard of a champagne problem?
I guess, yeah. Explain.
So a champagne problem is when you have something that's a problem, something that's, causing some difficulty, but it's like because something is so great. So like, if you suddenly came into $1 billion, that's a champagne problem because like, what are you going to do with it? Who are you going to give it to? Like that's a problem that you have to solve, but it's like because of something really great. So our letters to the editor is a champagne problem. We have such an engaged community that we get somewhere typically between 5 and a dozen letters to the editor every week. And, I talked to Bryce, who is the head of the New York Press Association, and he said a lot of newspapers, even in big cities, they like count themselves lucky if they even get one letter to the editor a week. So, champagne problem. Again, we only have 24 pages of print every week, so we can't print everything all the time. Also, a little bit of context, our typical word length on a full article is 750 words. So when I first started a year ago, and I wasn't sure, I've learned a lot over the last year. I wasn't sure how much content we'd have. I wasn't sure kind of formats of the letters to the editor. There were a lot of things that I was kind of feeling out along the way. And with a combination of only having 24 pages of print, receiving 5 to 10 letters a week, receiving letters that are longer. I had originally said 750 words, which letters, which is the size of an entire article typically. We're just having to institute some guidelines in order to be able to make sure that people can be heard. That I don't, because if I don't have room to publish 5 to 10 letters every week. And I do have some heavy hitters who write quite often, and I'm so grateful for them. Please don't misunderstand me. I think it's wonderful. But so what we've done is we've instituted some policies. One is going to be that writers can write 1 letter a month. They can submit 1 letter a month, and we're going to have a maximum of 500 words per letter.
So I want to stop there, though. Because all of this, everything you're about to say is at our discretion. And if anybody wants to get mad at anybody, get mad at me. Because the rule you just said is 1 letter a month. But if somebody sends 5 letters in and we make the decision to take that person's letter and run it, it's our discretion.
Sure. The idea is being able to have the most voices heard on a wide variety of topics.
Yes.
But also really important topics. It's, if something really big happens and people are responding to that, then that could be an example of when we decide that we may want to write more than 1 letter. Publish more than 1 letter from a writer that month. But the thing about 1 letter per month with 500 words is that I think it takes the writer and puts them in the mindset of, what do I really want to say? What are the most important points that I have? And it makes them like kind of distill down the essence of their message and write it in the most powerful and succinct way possible. And honestly, I think that's going to make these people have a bigger impact with every letter that they write. And so that's going to be the biggest thing about that. I will say that if someone is interested in running a longer piece that they're really passionate about, that they can contact me, and we're going to have a section as well that's just opinion. Those are for some longer articles over 500 words, and it's more like a column type deal. And so they would work with me on shaping it. It wouldn't just be, letters to the editor in general come into me. I edit them for like periods, commas, capitalization, stuff like that. But an opinion piece would really be a more researched and nuanced piece that we would discuss and work on together. And then we would publish their name, their headshot, and a short bio about them that would also would give context to the opinion, like why they're interested in this, what are their qualifications to write about this.
The other thing too that we need to specify is letters to the editor don't mean we agree with the subject matter.
Absolutely not.
We put letters in to the editor that people didn't like us. They didn't like something we did. They said the font was too small. Whatever it is, we put that in the paper as well. So it doesn't mean that the paper agrees with it. We just know as a media company, we need to be the voice of the community, a mirror of the community, and everyone, even we agree or don't agree, we need the message heard.
And also, like, if people include facts, then a lot of times I put an editor's note after their letter, with some basic fact checking. So if somebody says, oh, the war in Iran is costing $400 billion, then I'm going to do a little bit of research there and add an editor's note and say, according to multiple sources, the war in Iran has cost X amount of money so far. Just to put some clarity in there as well. I think that's being responsible and helping contextualize some of the letters that are in there as well.
So, we have a lot of other things that we're going to be bringing to the table. We're going to be doing a lot more pictures. We have some sports things that we're going to be doing. Shout out to all the ADs in the area. We'll be reaching out to you soon, because we really, really, really want to make sure that we're covering high school sports and things of that nature. But HB, I appreciate the work that you're doing. And I really appreciate, our company. You said Capital Region Independent Media. Yeah, we're a small company with a large footprint, though. And what I mean by large footprint, I use this as an example all the time, HB, is that in the markets that we serve, we tell stories that no one else is going to cover, no one else is going to even think about. And the story that I like to talk about all the time and use as an example, I'm a young man from the Bronx. So what I'm about to say, I never heard of in my life. Drive your tractor to school day. Like, we didn't do that in the hood, but they do that in Cobleskill. It was an amazing thing. I caught myself watching you on the video, and these young people are driving a tractor to school, and it was got 40,000 something views. No one else would cover that. Now, if they ran somebody over with the tractor, CNN and all those people would have been there to cover that.
Yeah, and that, Warren, I think that's really, and I even said this in my interview with you a year ago. The importance of community-centered news is that it's like you said, if a kid ran somebody over with a tractor on the way to drive your tractor to school today, that would be on the news. But when you have a community news program like what we do here at the Times Journal, we're going to be there for Drive Your Tractor to School Day. We're going to be there for Memorial Bike Runs. We're going to be there for Middleburg's Fourth Friday. We're going to be there for Arts in the Park in Cobleskill. Like, we are going to, at every turn, whenever possible, highlight the awesome things that go on every day in this community.
So listen, I thank you for your time. I want to do more videos with you to talk about some of the new things we're doing. So let's try to do this on a more regular basis.
Sounds great to me.
Bye, everybody.
I'm gonna tell you what, Warren, let me tell you, Schoharie County, it's a great place to live.